Welcome to Silent Revenge, where betrayal doesn't knock, it hides behind smiles, behind walls, sometimes literally. I used to believe my life was stable, predictable, a good job, a loving wife, a daughter who vanished without a trace. But what I discovered that day didn't just shatter my reality, it rewrote it into something darker. I wasn't supposed to be there. That's what kept echoing in my head as I stood in the polished marble lobby of my wife's office building, clutching a small pink gift bag. Inside it was a bracelet, something my daughter, Lily, would have loved if she were still here, if she hadn't disappeared 8 months ago. I told myself I was surprising my wife, Dana, trying to bring some normalcy back into a life that had slowly rotted from the inside. We had both been drowning in grief, or at least, I thought we were. The receptionist barely looked up. "Do you have an appointment?" "No," I said, forcing a polite smile. "I'm her husband." That word felt heavier than it should have. She hesitated, then nodded. "You can go up." The elevator ride felt longer than usual. My reflection in the mirrored walls looked like a stranger, sunken eyes, clenched jaw, a man barely holding himself together. Losing a child does that. It carves something out of you that never grows back. The doors opened to Dana's floor. Quiet. Too quiet. Her assistant wasn't at the desk. Phones weren't ringing. It felt staged, like a paused scene waiting for someone to press play. I walked toward her office, each step heavier than the last. Her door was slightly open. "Dana," I called softly. No response. I pushed the door open, empty. But something felt off, not just empty, wrong, like the air itself was hiding something. Then I heard it. A faint sound, a muffled whimper. My heart stopped. "Hello," I called again, louder this time. The sound came again, weak, desperate, from somewhere inside the office. I followed it, scanning every corner until my eyes landed on the bookshelf behind her desk. It looked normal, too normal. But the sound, it was coming from behind it. That's when the truth started clawing its way out. And I realized something terrifying. Some secrets aren't buried, they're built into the walls. I wasn't imagining it. The sound came again, faint, trembling, almost swallowed by the walls themselves. A whimper, a child's whimper. My blood turned cold. Lily. The name slipped out of my mouth before my brain could stop it. Silence. Then another weak cry. My chest tightened so violently it felt like my ribs might crack. 8 months. 8 months of sleepless nights, police reports, dead-end leads, and hollow reassurances. 8 months of believing my daughter was gone. And now this. "No," I whispered to myself, stepping closer to the bookshelf. "This doesn't make sense." But grief doesn't care about logic. Hope is cruel like that. It shows up when it shouldn't. I ran my hands along the edges of the shelf, searching for anything unusual. My fingers brushed against smooth wood, perfectly polished, nothing out of place. Too perfect. "Think," I muttered, forcing myself to slow down. Dana worked in real estate development. Hidden panels, luxury design tricks. She'd mentioned them before, casually, like party tricks for wealthy clients. My stomach twisted. I pressed against the side of the shelf. Nothing. I pushed harder. Still nothing. Then I noticed it, a small, almost invisible groove along the inner edge. Not something you'd see unless you were desperate enough to look for it. My hands trembled as I slid my fingers into the gap and pulled. Click. The sound was soft, mechanical, final. The entire bookshelf shifted slightly, unlocking with a quiet hiss. My heart started pounding so loudly it drowned everything else out. "No." I breathed, stepping back as the shelf slowly creaked open. Behind it, darkness. A narrow hidden space. And then, "D-Daddy." The voice was weak, hoarse, broken. But I knew it. Every nerve in my body screamed at once. "Lily." I dropped the gift bag, rushing forward, my hands fumbling in the dark until I found her. She was there, curled up, fragile, pale, alive. My daughter was alive. I pulled her into my arms, my entire body shaking. "Oh my God, Lily baby, I'm here, I'm here." She clung to me weakly, her small fingers gripping my shirt like she was afraid I'd disappear. "I thought you forgot me," she whispered. That sentence shattered something deep inside me. "Never," I choked. "Never, ever." But then, a thought cut through the moment like a blade. If Lily was here this whole time, then someone put her here. And suddenly, one name echoed louder than anything else. Dana. My grip tightened as a cold realization settled in. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't a kidnapping gone wrong. This was something planned, something controlled, something close. The footsteps stopped right outside the door. My entire body went rigid. Lily clutched my shirt tighter, her tiny fingers trembling against my chest. I could feel her fear. And it wasn't just from being hidden in that suffocating space. It was fear of whoever was out there. "Daddy," she whispered, barely audible. "Don't let her take me back." Her, not them. Not a stranger. Her. My blood ran cold. Before I could process it, the door creaked open, and there she was, Dana. My wife stood in the doorway, completely still, her eyes locking onto us. No shock, no confusion, no relief, just calculation. For a moment, no one spoke. The silence was suffocating. Then she exhaled slowly, like someone mildly inconvenienced. "I was wondering when you'd figure it out," she said calmly. Those words didn't just hit me, they crushed me. "What is this?" My voice came out broken, unrecognizable even to me. "Dana, what the hell is this?" Lily buried her face into my chest, shaking. Dana's eyes flicked to her, then back to me. Still no emotion. No guilt. "You weren't supposed to come today," she said, stepping inside and closing the door behind her. "You ruined the timing." Timing. I snapped, disbelief turning into raw anger. "She's our daughter." "She's a liability," Dana corrected coldly. That sentence sucked the air out of the room. I stared at her, searching for anything that resembled the woman I thought I knew. There was nothing. "What are you talking about?" I demanded. "We've been looking for her for months." "The police?" "The police know what they need to know," she interrupted smoothly. My mind started racing, connecting dots I didn't want to connect. You reported her missing," I said slowly, my voice trembling. "You cried on camera, you?" "Yes," Dana said, almost bored, "and everyone believed it." I felt sick. "Why?" I whispered, holding Lily tighter. "Why would you do this?" For the first time a faint smile touched her lips, but it wasn't warm. It was sharp. "Because you were getting in the way," she said. My heart skipped. "In the way of what?" I asked. She tilted her head slightly, studying me like I was the one who didn't understand something obvious. "Everything," she replied. And in that moment, I realized something far more terrifying than betrayal. I realized I had been living with a stranger. No, worse, with someone who had been playing a role all along. Lily whimpered again, and Dana's gaze hardened. "You shouldn't have found her," she said quietly. My instincts didn't hesitate. The moment Dana's hand slipped into her bag, something primal took over. Not fear, clarity. I stepped back, shielding Lily behind me, my body positioning itself between her and whatever Dana was about to do. "Don't," I warned, my voice low but shaking with tension. Dana paused, then slowly pulled her hand out. Not a weapon. A phone. She held it up, calm as ever. "Relax," she said. "If I wanted to hurt you, I wouldn't do it like this." That didn't comfort me. It made it worse. "What is this?" I asked, my eyes locked on the device. "A solution," she replied, unlocking the screen and tapping something. A video started playing. At first, I didn't understand what I was looking at. Then my stomach dropped. It was me. Security footage. Me, weeks ago, walking into a storage facility, carrying a large duffel bag, looking over my shoulder. My breath caught. "I've been preparing for every outcome," Dana said casually, "including this one." "You're framing me," I said, the realization hitting like a punch to the gut. She didn't deny it. Instead, she stepped closer, her heels clicking softly against the floor. "If you walk out of here with her," she continued, "this video gets sent to the police, along with a few other carefully edited pieces." My mind raced. "What other pieces?" I asked. She smiled faintly. "Enough to make it look like you snapped. Grief does that to people, especially fathers who lose their daughters." My grip on Lily tightened instinctively. "You're insane," I whispered. "No," Dana corrected calmly. "I'm careful." I looked down at Lily, pale, exhausted, terrified, and something inside me shifted. Fear turned into something colder, sharper. "You planned this?" I said slowly. "You made her disappear to control me." Dana's expression didn't change, but her eyes flickered with something, pride. "You were becoming unpredictable," she said. "Emotional. You started asking questions about the company finances, about the accounts you weren't supposed to see." The pieces started clicking into place. The late nights, the secrecy, the sudden distance. "You hit her?" I said, my voice steady now. "To keep me distracted, to keep you compliant," she corrected. Silence filled the room again. But this time, it was different, because I wasn't just reacting anymore. I was thinking, calculating. If she had planned this far ahead, then rushing out wasn't an option. She had already prepared for that. I needed to be smarter, slower, more dangerous. "Okay," I said quietly, lifting my hands slightly in surrender. You win. Dana's eyes narrowed slightly. She didn't believe me. Good, because for the first time since walking into that office, I wasn't trying to survive. I was starting to plan. I forced my breathing to slow. Panic would get us killed, if not physically, then legally. Dana had already built a narrative where I was the unstable father. One wrong move, and I'd walk straight into the trap she designed. So I did the only thing I could. I played along. You're right, I said quietly, lowering my gaze just enough to look defeated. I shouldn't have come here. I wasn't thinking. Dana studied me carefully. She always did that, measured reactions, calculated responses. That's how she stayed ahead. But this time, I needed her to believe she still was. Put her back. Dana said, her voice firm but calm. We can reset this. Pretend today never happened. Lily tightened her grip on me, her body trembling. I felt her fear like electricity under my skin. I can't do that, I said softly. Dana's eyes hardened instantly. Then you leave alone, she replied. Or you don't leave at all. There it was, the real threat. I swallowed hard, pretending to hesitate. Just give me a minute, I said, stepping slightly to the side as if overwhelmed. That's when I saw it again. Her desk. More specifically, her laptop. Open, unlocked. And on the screen, a spreadsheet. At first glance, it looked like numbers. Financial data. But something about it felt off. Familiar. Then it hit me. Those weren't just numbers. They were transfers. Large ones. Repeated patterns. Offshore accounts. This wasn't just manipulation. This was fraud. Massive fraud. And suddenly, Lily wasn't the only secret hidden in this room. Dana followed my gaze for a split second. Just a flicker, but it was enough. She noticed. And in that tiny moment, something shifted. You don't need to worry about that, she said quickly, stepping slightly to block my view. Too quickly. Too defensive, which meant one thing. I was right. Dana, I said slowly, lifting my eyes back to hers. What have you done? Her jaw tightened, but she recovered fast. What I had to do? For what? I pressed. For control. She snapped, her calm slipping for the first time. For security. For a future where we don't lose everything because of your emotional decisions. I almost laughed. Not because it was funny. Because it was insane. You kidnapped our daughter, I said, my voice low and steady now. And you're talking about security. She was never in danger, Dana shot back. You just weren't supposed to find her yet. Yet, that word echoed. Which meant she had a timeline. A plan that hadn't finished. And now I had something she didn't expect. Leverage. I shifted Lily slightly in my arms and took a small step forward. You've been very careful, Dana, I said quietly. But you left one thing exposed. Her eyes narrowed. What? She asked. I glanced toward the laptop again. And for the first time, I saw uncertainty in her face. For the first time since I walked into that office, Dana blinked. Not a calculated pause. Not a controlled reaction. A mistake. You don't know what you're looking at, she said quickly, her voice sharper now. But I didn't respond. I didn't need to, because silence was doing more damage than any accusation. I shifted my stance slightly, keeping Lily secure in one arm while my eyes stayed locked on Dana. Then, slowly, deliberately, I stepped toward the desk. Stop, she snapped. I didn't. That was the moment everything changed. Not because I reached the laptop, but because I didn't rush. I moved like someone who already knew he had the upper hand. You built this whole thing on control, I said calmly. Control over me, over the narrative, over every possible outcome. Dana's grip on her phone tightened. But you missed something, I continued. What? She demanded, but there was something new in her voice now. Tension. I reached the desk, placed Lily gently in the chair behind me, keeping my body between her and Dana. Then I turned the laptop slightly, just enough to make it clear I could see everything. You assumed I'd react emotionally, I said. That I'd panic, run, make mistakes. I tapped the keyboard lightly, pulling up another window. Emails, dates, evidence, and for a while you were right. I admitted. I was drowning. Dana didn't move, didn't speak. She was watching, calculating again, trying to recover. But grief doesn't just break you, I said quietly. Sometimes it sharpens you. I looked up at her. And you gave me exactly what I needed. Her jaw clenched. You don't have anything, she said. But it didn't land the same way anymore. I tilted the screen slightly toward her. Offshore accounts tied to shell companies, I said. Repeated transfers. Hidden under development budgets. Her silence confirmed everything. This isn't just fraud, I added. This is enough to destroy everything you've built. Dana's expression changed again. Not panic. Not yet, but something close. You think that saves you? She asked coldly. You're still the father who lost his daughter. I nodded slowly. You're right, I said. That caught her off guard. But here's the difference. I continued, my voice dropping. Now I know the truth, and more importantly. I reached into my pocket, pulled out my phone. I have time to use it. Her eyes flicked to my hand. For the first time, real fear. Because she understood something I hadn't said out loud. I wasn't trying to escape anymore. I was building a case right here, right now, against her. You planned every move, I said quietly. But you never planned for me to stay. Dana took another step forward. Slower this time. Measured. Dangerous. You're making a mistake, she said quietly, her voice lower than before, but heavier. You think you can just walk out with evidence and everything magically fixes itself. I didn't answer immediately. Because she was right about one thing. Nothing about this was simple. I don't need magic, I said finally. I just need truth documented the right way. Her lips pressed into a thin line. And you think anyone's going to believe you over me? That question lingered in the air. Because for months she had controlled the narrative. The grieving mother, the composed professional, the woman everyone trusted, and me. I was the broken father barely holding himself together. Unstable, emotional, easy to discredit. I don't need them to believe me right away, I said calmly. I just need them to start questioning you. That was the crack, I saw it. Small, subtle, but real. Dana exhaled slowly, her composure tightening again. You're underestimating how much control I have, she said. Over the company, over the people investigating this. Over Lily, I cut in sharply. Silence. Her eyes flicked toward Lily for just a second, and that was enough. You lost that control the moment I walked in here, I said. Dana's expression hardened. No, she replied. I still decide what happens next. She raised her phone slightly. My stomach dropped, but I didn't move. Go ahead, I said quietly. That caught her off guard. Send it, I continued. Send the footage. Frame me. Her brows furrowed slightly. Because the moment you do, I added, lifting my own phone, everything on that laptop gets backed up and forwarded. Her eyes narrowed. To who? I held her gaze. Everyone who matters. She stared at me, trying to read whether I was bluffing. I wasn't. Because sometime between finding Lily and standing here now, something inside me had changed. I wasn't reacting anymore. I was anticipating. You really think you can outplay me? Dana asked, but her voice had lost that absolute certainty. No, I said honestly. I think you already outplayed yourself. That landed hard. Because it was true. She had built something so complex, so controlled. That one unexpected variable, me finding Lily, was enough to start collapsing everything. Dana's grip on her phone loosened slightly, and in that moment, I knew. She didn't have a clean move left, only risky ones. Desperate ones, and desperate people make mistakes. Big ones. I saw the decision happen in her eyes. Cold, final. Dana lifted her phone, and then suddenly hurled it across the room. It shattered against the wall. For a split second, everything froze. Then she moved fast. Too fast. She lunged toward the desk, grabbing the laptop, her fingers already flying across the keyboard. No, I snapped, rushing forward, but she was quicker than I expected. The screen flickered. Files closing. Windows disappearing. She was trying to erase everything. Stop! I shouted, grabbing the edge of the laptop, but she held on, her nails digging into the metal like her life depended on it.
Let go,
she yelled, her calm completely gone now.
You have no idea what you're doing.
I know exactly what I'm doing, I shot back, and then I pulled. Hard. The laptop slipped from her grip and crashed onto the floor. The screen cracked, but it didn't shut off. Not yet. That's all I needed. I grabbed it, stepping back quickly, putting distance between us. Dana froze, breathing heavily, watching. Calculating again, but this time, slower. Because now she was behind. You just destroyed your own evidence, she said, trying to regain control. I shook my head. No, I replied calmly, holding up my phone. Her eyes followed it, and then, understanding hit. I backed it up, I said. The moment you got nervous, silence, heavy, unavoidable. You planned everything, I continued, my voice steady, but you never planned for failure. Dana's shoulders dropped slightly, not defeat, but realization it was over, not instantly, not cleanly, but inevitably. Sirens echoed faintly in the distance, not loud, but enough. I saw it register in her eyes. You called them, she whispered. I nodded. Not just them, I said. Everyone? Her mask finally broke, not into rage, but into something emptier, loss. Because for the first time, she wasn't in control of the narrative anymore. Weeks later, everything unraveled. The company, the accounts, the lies, and Dana. She became exactly what she feared most, exposed. As for me, I didn't feel victorious. Not really. Because revenge doesn't give you back what was taken. But it does something else. It restores truth. And sometimes that's enough. Lily still wakes up at night sometimes. But she's safe. And that's all that matters. Because in the end, the walls didn't just hide secrets. They revealed them. Final reflection. The most dangerous prisons aren't made of concrete. They're built from trust, lies, and silence. And breaking free means risking everything. If this story stayed with you, hit like. Tell me in the comments what you would have done in my place. And if you want more stories where silence turns into strength, subscribe to Silent Revenge.